College? Classic? Did you say college classic campuses? Well, sure you did. You know we're reading God's Devil by W.Lutzer. Dr.Erwin W.Lutzer. And, I have to say that while we're reading that, we're reading Frederick Douglass. And we're going to return back to these three books that we were reading. But we had to stop for a moment so that way you can get introduced to slavery, because while we're reading these other books here, we're reading about spiritual slavery here in the United States of America, and we're reading Revelations 18 to help us understand exactly what slavery is. A lot of people don't know that they are slaves today. We have team leaders and team members, and they're slaves. A lot of people say, that's, TC, you're crazy. I know what you're talking about. You're going overboard. But it's the truth. Even the souls of men are being traded, enslaved in the Revelation 18, which is today. And people don't know it. They don't know it. And it's a shame, because they need to know that they're being counted as unworthy when you really may be worthy. You see, Christ Jesus died for all sin, for all time. Not just for that time, or just for those people, but for all sin, for all time. Thank you, Dr. Greg Laurie. God bless you. The gamble he took, W.Lutzer. We are shocked and perplexed by this simple statement: you were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. Verse 15. This is Isaiah, right? Yes. Achoo! I'll do it that way. With the breathtaking comment, we have a description of how sin entered the universe, and this is inspired, an inspired commentary on the origin of evil, or the origins of evil, however way you want to see it. Unrighteousness was found in a being that moments before had been perfect. So it's fair to say that something was perfect, then something wasn't. What was this sin, this unrighteousness? In a word, it was arrogance. Ooh. Arrogance. It's funny, but arrogance will get you in trouble every time. Not last time or this time, but every time. In the abundance of your trade, you were filled with violence in your midst, and you sinned. Your heart was proud because of your beauty. Verses 16 and 17. His beauty and position led to hardened pride. And in the New Testament, Paul wrote that a novice should not be ordained to ministry, so that he will not become puffed up with conceit and fall into the condemnation of the wicked one, or the devil. 1 Timothy 3:6. Okay, so we see here that beauty isn't for creatures, isn't for man, but either wickedness, the devil, or women. Well, we want our women to be beautiful, don't we? Yes. Without wickedness or evilness. And still, that could be. The city of Tyre boasted of its trade, just so Lucifer took pride in his duties as a manager of God's affairs, and specifically, instead of passing all of the praise to God, he began to keep some of it for himself, like a trader who keeps a bit of the profits that cross his desk. So Lucifer would hold back some of the worship, enjoying what he thought was his share. Well, he was skimming He was skimming off the top. Worship me this time. Last time you worshiped God, worship me this time. That's what they're doing today when you get sued. Say, well, yeah, last time you didn't worship it. Yeah, this time I want you to worship it. We're witnessing Lucifer before our eyes. And many people that we love are adored. Perhaps he believed it was only proper that God receive most of the worship and praise, but not all of it. I get some too, God. I get just a little bit of worship. And so they were worshiping in the Garden of Eden Lucifer. My aunt told me in Bible study she believed they were worshiping the devil. I told her, no, that can't be. That can't be. The Garden of Eden was perfect. No, true. Yes, it was true. They were naked. So therefore, they were worshiping the devil. Why should the Almighty not share the glory with His creatures, particularly that one who was the highest and the best? Me, the wicked one! I'm so beautiful. You know, I deserve this. Most theologians attribute his decision to free will. They say that he had an option before him. And as a free creature, even a perfect one, he always had the potential of going astray. Perhaps that is part of the story, and we must agree that Lucifer was not coerced by God or other angels to do what he did. No, not at all. He did it on his own. You know what I mean? No one told him, hey, why don't you worship the devil? No, nobody coerced him. He did it on his own. I had a friend who was being trespassed against, and I stuck up to help him, and I act like no one coerced me to do anything, but I was. And I took the blame as somebody who took the blame all on their own. But the truth was that the police said he was coerced. Okay, never mind. So, he always had the potential of going astray. Perhaps that is part of the story. And we must agree that Lucifer was not coerced by God or any other angels to do what he did. But we are still left with the puzzle. Why would such a creature want to defy God? Well, he saw Jesus Christ, I think, and became jealous. He saw him and just couldn't bear it, couldn't stand it. Didn't know where it was going, what was going to happen. Didn't want to be third in line. Fourth? Fifth? Hey. Wasn't there something about that where God says the kingdom of heaven is like... Never mind. Okay, so... even if he had free will, we cannot understand why he would exercise his option. Perhaps the best answer is that there is no answer, or to put it more accurately, there's no answer that we as humans can discern. God has an answer, and perhaps someday he will give us the missing piece of the puzzle. Until then, we just don't know why Lucifer suddenly allowed unrighteousness to erupt in his heart. And what we do know is that Lucifer was self-deceived, thinking that rebellion was necessary if he were to put his own interests first. He failed to grasp that even if we were motivated by self-interest, obedience to God would still be best. To put it differently, God's best for him and his best for himself were actually one and the same. So Lucifer doesn't actually see it that way. That's too bad. Lucifer's bad judgment is a warning to us. We must never think about that our obedience is best for God, but not best for us. When God commands us to obey him, he not only has his best interests in mind, but ours too. And that is why we are never wiser than when we choose to follow God's will, whatever the cost. Against all rational possibility, Lucifer pitted his will against that of God. Consumed with jealousy and burning with a desire for recognition, he set out to do what he wanted to do rather than what God wanted him to do. whatever momentary satisfaction he gained from his decision, it would be outweighed by the everlasting contempt that we would have to endure. But he wasn't thinking that far ahead. The moment he rolled the dice, he was doomed to disappointment. His future was gambled in a slot machine that paid no dividends. He had miscalculated the power and intention of God. We do that all too many times, but not so short, right?